Today we are going to speak about writing or telling a story. When telling a story, we tell about something that happened to you or that happened to someone else, about something that you saw, heard, or read about. A narrative story has certain structure. It has chronological order, the order in which the events took place. It uses the first person and sometimes it uses the third person. Before we start, I'd like to ask you a question. Do you know what the sentence "I order vegetables with Swiss cheese" and features of narrative writing have in common? I suppose your answer is going to be no, but I'm absolutely sure that in some time you're going to answer yes. So let's start. Let's start with the features of narrative writing. There are 6 features we're going to speak about. And the first is ideas. When giving your ideas, you are to remember 5 W's, which mean you are to speak about where the story happened, why something happened, what really happened, who took part in the story or in the situation, and when the story happened. And certainly do not forget age for how something happened. The second feature is organization. The narration should be enjoyable and easy to read. It should definitely have the beginning, the middle, and the end. You are to use transition words such as firstly, then, after, and some others. And definitely it is a very good idea to use verbs describing the 5 senses. They are sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. The next feature is voice. Make sure you include your thoughts, feelings, and dialogues into your story. The next is word choice. Choose the words that can capture the reader. Make sure you use adjectives and adverbs, vivid verbs and synonyms, similes and idioms, specific nouns. The next is sentence fluency. When we speak about sentence fluency, it means that you are to be sure that the story is really easy to read, that there are long and short sentences in the story, and that sentences begin with different words. And the 6th feature is conventions or rules. You are to be sure that your story is error-free. See whether you have used the right title. Spelling, punctuation, capitalization, grammar are also very important. Now let's return back to the question I asked you before. So what do they have in common? I order vegetables with Swiss cheese and the features of narrative writing. We can say that this simple saying can be used as a memory tool to remember the 6 features of writing. Look at the table. I stands for ideas, order for organization, vegetables for voice, with for word choice, Swiss for sentence fluency, and cheese for conventions or rules. So to make sure that you have followed the 6 features of writing, picture yourself ordering something in a cafe, and it will be a really very good help for you. Writing has several stages. The first is pre-writing. On this stage, at this stage, you are to think about the plan, the ideas, details, and probably even to write the draft of your story. I'm not going to speak about how you write. It's your process, how you get the ideas. But let's remember that we said that the good story should have introduction, the main part, and the ending or the conclusion. So let's start with the introduction, the first few sentences of the story. And the aim of these sentences is to hook the reader. So, how can you do this? There can be several ways. Let's have a look at four of them. You can start your story with a sound. For example, bang, and we all ran away. You can start it with talking, giving some kind of a dialogue at the beginning. You can start with asking a question. For example, have you ever found yourself in such a difficult situation? Or you can start with setting your story. For example, one dark evening, I was walking along the street when suddenly I saw, and so on. Then you, at the beginning of the story, you speak about when and where the action happened. I'm not going to speak about the main part. These are your own ideas, but let's have a look at the closing. Closing and or conclusion, it wraps the story. We write closing for this. We want to remind the readers about our idea. And here are a few ideas how you can end the story. You can remind the reader of the main idea, or express your feelings, speak about the lesson you have learned, or express hope. Let us look at these ideas a little bit more closely. For example, you can start your story with such an introduction. Have you ever visited the famous Brazilian carnival? I had the most exciting experience last week. And you can give the closing. My visit to the Carnival of Brazil was awesome. In this case, you remind the reader of your main ideas, but you say it in a new way in different words. If your introduction was, are you ready for the school leaving party? I have bought a nice and fashionable dress. You can choose closing. I can't wait to put on my dress, which shows that you are expressing your feelings, you are showing your feelings. The next variant can be, ouch, and I was lying on the ground and feeling a sharp pain in my arm. And the closing can be, next time I'm on a slippery road, I will definitely go slowly. You speak about the lesson you have learned. So, these are the main ideas you should bear in mind when you are writing a story. So, write and hook the reader.